Great. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on a Saturday evening for the CEO story hosted by the PGPMAX admissions team at ISP. My name is Sandeep. I'm a senior manager at Admissions and Financial Aid at ISP, and I'll be your host today. The CEO story is our outreach initiative that brings together alumni of PGPMAX to share their experiences. It is your opportunity to ask our alumni about the program experience, post-program impact in their careers, how the PGPMAX program has helped professionally, or anything that you might want to ask, have a query to ask, right? So to do this, please use the Q&A box available at the bottom of your screen to share your questions. I'll be happy to share it with our panelists as we progress. We initially have some set of questions which we've already prepared. We would initially start off with those, and post we complete that, we'll open the questions for the through the Q&A box. Right? The Q&A today will be limited to the alumni experience and our panelists. If you have any program or admission related query, we'll be happy to take it offline. Please feel free to book a one-on-one conversation with our admissions office for this. I'll be sharing the link for this in the chat box now. Okay. Great. So without much delay, let me welcome our panelists for the event today. I have with me Mr. Kuruganti Chidambaran. Chidambaran is a CEO and CFO at Sweber Group and is an alumni of PGPMAX class of 17. Welcome, Chidambaran.
Thank you. Well,
also joining us is Mr. Siddharth Sharma. Siddharth is the co-founder of 91 Trucks and is an alumni of PGPMAX class of 19. Welcome, Siddharth.
Pleasure, Sandeep. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and we also have Mr. Bhaskar Jain in the panel today. Bhaskar is a partner at Neolive and is an alumnus of PGPMAX class of 22. Welcome, Bhaskar.
Thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for inviting us. Yeah.
Thank you. Given the diverse group of individuals we have on the panel today, I'm sure you'd want to know more about the profiles and professional journeys of these individuals. So dear panelists, can I request you to introduce yourself and share a bit about your profiles?
Yeah.
Very good to start off.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome to today's series of CEO stories. It's a pleasure to be here across this very curious, exquisitive audience who want to aspire for PGPMAX. So yes, there is a reason for holding up this webinar. So to introduce myself, I am Kuruganti Chidambaran, who have been on the leading roles of COO, CEO, and also CFO for the last 10 years. So to start with, I started my career in 2009 as COO. Then 2014, I became CEO, then CFO. So that is how, yes, across this hustle and bustle of corporate world, it's also required to be, sharp-edged, and then you have to also continuously improve your a kind of knowledge base in all cross-functional areas to run the business. So for that, this PGPMAX has helped me a lot. So apart from that, see, always there has been my family, which has been really wonderful to help me out and cooperative and supportive all through this journey of my corporate leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Chidambaran. Siddharth?
Awesome. So I'm Siddharth. A quick background about my experience. I've been a hardcore sales guy for the last 16 years. I started my journey in 2006 purely into advertising sales, where I was part of a very big TV company called Z Telefilms. Gradually, it was in 2009 is when I forayed into digital platform with a company called GoIB, which had just come to India and started exploring. It was in 2018 while and of 16 years of experience, 10 years have been primarily in startups ecosystem. It was in 2015 early that I joined a very young startup those years. Today it's a unicorn called Car Dekho. gradually rose up the rank of heading their new auto business all India, is when I actually enrolled into the course in 2018. While I passed out in 2019, and this is what the course did to me, and we'll talk more about that later on, is I started my own entrepreneurship journey. In the last 5 years, so far, I have co-founded two startups. One is called 91wheels.com, which is now one of India's leading auto site. And now I run 91trucks.com, where we also have retail outlets for used commercial vehicles, buy and sell in India. So yeah, that's my journey so far.
Great. Welcome. Hi, Bhaskar.
Yeah, thanks for that. And for the interesting experience so far. So, of course, I'm the one with a recent dropout in 2022. And for me, I think I've been a real estate professional, largely into the development industry and construction. I started immediately after my graduation as a graduate engineering trainee. And surprisingly, I was given a FMCG, but I chose real estate with one of the leading groups now. It's called as Coated Properties. So when I joined in about 2009, it was just on the verge of starting the venture, and now one of the top real estate players across the nation. And then I moved to, of course, local infrastructure and development sector based in Bombay with the Godrej Group. It's been now close to about 15 years. Post my program, of course, I took a leap and started a new venture along with few co-founders and experts in the industry, which is NeoLive. So I'm a partner there. It is basically a real estate fund, which also has its own execution arm to cater to the residential projects across Mumbai and Delhi NCR. So that's been my quick journey, and I'll be happy to share, I think, my transformation post the course in about 2 odd years and why I took this kind of a leap. So happy to share thoughts as we go along with the discussion.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bhaskar. So let us start with Chidambaran. Chidambaran, you joined PGPMAX in 2016 when you were already working as a CFO and CEO for the group at Cerebral Group, right? A group-wide role, and you had a lot of business importance, right? Can you walk us through the journey from there? How did you decide on PGPMAX, and how has it helped you in your career journey?
Yeah, while this is a very big question and very, very cognitive question to be answered, because I have climbed up the ladder with my, core competency values, and then I started acquiring so many positions, and then I reached to a position where I really required to have sound footing on cross-functional, disciplines like controlling the finance, to know about balance sheet, and then to know about market, competitive marketing strategies, then global economics, to have some foresightedness, and then things like that. So then, the businesses today have got a lot of, volatility. So we need to have somewhere this type of concrete footing, like sound footing. And the fundamentals of business have to be thoroughly, imbibed into our mind. It's not that you have a position and you have power and you have a domain of, finance to control and then spend and then go on doing some projects and things like that. So that too, I was into steel, manufacturing all throughout my career. So once I became COO, then I started feeling that I must get, erudited in these functional disciplines to be able to be more competitive and to be able to be more enhanced knowledge acquisition with regards to these competencies. So there, the only one single solution that I have got at that age, and with that versatile experience of my corporate career, so is the one that is none other than pursuing ISB PGPMAX program. Then, there are many steps and procedures for, getting selected into that. And then I have got through, and successfully I went through those things. And added to that, the program really helped me out to give me a lot of global business also, while considering all these immersion programs and all. So that is how I got into ISP PGPMAX, and it has really helped me out. And nonetheless, to say that even to become CFO has become a very easy role. I mean, easy, it's a cakewalk. It has become a cakewalk once I have gone through this, whole curriculum of PGPMAX.
Great. So saying that it's It's helped in understanding each department very
Yeah.
very internal
Yes.
manner. Got that. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Chiraman. Let me come to you, Siddharth. You were working as a senior associate director at cardeco.com earlier when you
Yeah.
joined this program, right? And you co-founded the Unicorn Tech Media and 91 Wheels while pursuing the program. Right?
Yes.
Can you walk us through how did it happen and how do you decide on PGPMAX and your entire experience?
I think after working for good more than 10, 12 years, you kind of feel that your knowledge domain has kind of stuck with the same lens, because I've been a sales guy throughout my life. So every solution, every vision which I had was through a very sales specific lens. While you come to a leadership role, and that to a startup where things change dramatically every year, and the pace at which the company was growing at the time when I was there, uh, there was a sense that you want to get into a big leadership role, because I was getting a lot of responsibility. I was managing a hell lot of businesses for Cardeco. And then while you work with founders very closely, there is always a hunch that you want to start something of your own. And while it was a time that education was the thing which came in our mind, that is there any place where I can actually start doing an executive MBA? And I've actually explored even masters doing executive MBAs even outside India. But if you look at the holistic view as a brand, ISB has really built up a very strong bang in India and even globally as well. And that's how I started enrolling into the course in 2018. And again, as I said, for me, the transformation has been phenomenal. I mean, from working in a company, I actually set up a company while I was doing the course. And a lot of that has actually been helped by the cohort, my batchmates who were probably whom I met while I was doing the course, because all of them came from very different backgrounds. In fact, a lot of them were third, fourth generation entrepreneurs who were doing the course along with me. So yeah, I mean, that's how the whole ISB journey has been so far. It's been 5 years now. In fact, when I co-founded 91 Trucks, we did raise external capital, and from very good marquee investors. And in fact, Atrium, who is an ISB dedicated alum fund, happened to be one of my investors in terms of, I mean, they are one of my investors in 91 Trucks as well. So yeah, I mean, there has been a tremendous push and help which I got from ISB and passing out from PGPMAX. So yeah, so wonderful 5 years.
Great, excellent. So Bhaskar, you were a part of the Wadhwa Group as Chief Business Officer while doing the PGPMAX program, and then
That's
now a
right.
partner at Neolive. Right. So can you walk
That's
us
right.
through the journey? What is the rationale to consider PGPMAX and how it helped you professionally?
Sure, Sandeep. So, Sandeep, for me, actually, the transition was happening from in fact, like Siddharth, I was also into sales and marketing for a very, very long time, at least for 10 years of my career initially, and specific to only real estate as an industry, because that's what I chose at the very initial years of when the industry started becoming more organized and professional from where it was. And I think, quite lucky enough and fortunate to really transit into multiple roles into real estate. And for me, I think one of the reasons for a transition was to really understand that if I have to start my entrepreneurial journey, what does it really take to run a business? So one of the areas were that I could have really focused on becoming a CEO of my current industry or in my setup, and which I could possibly see even without the PGPMAX program. Honestly, it could have accelerated, but maybe 3 to 5 years is where I transited, and that could be a role for me. But I really chose to learn the business dynamics overall, that what it really takes to run the organization and not a specific sector or a company so far. See, because we all come with a baggage of what we are doing, what are the problems that we are facing, and if something can give us a solution to really structure it out well. But I thought it very differently, and I said that I want to take a larger leap where it's something I can do on my own, if not immediate, maybe in future. But life took a very, very quick turn, and in a very recent pass out, 2022, and then I chose to first partner with somebody for a new venture as a co-founder, which is not only a real estate execution, but also a fund. So because the lessons learned from the Max program are far more than what you really think initially and enter the program, but what you really learn out of the program is far, far more different and better. What you become is an outcome of how the program shapes you up. So that's been my journey, Sandeep. And for me, few things I think I would like to share were critical for taking specifically this program, apart from just the role constraints in the opportunity, was that I was clear that I want to have at least 7 to 10 years of experience, hands-on experience before doing an MBA, unlike how a general or a flagship MBA program runs. And at the same time, I didn't want to specialize. I wanted a general management course. And third was very critical. I think people talk about networking as a platform for these colleges. And what I realized is that for a general MBA or for a regular MBA, normally the batch sizes are quite big enough to really have a network of that size. So I thought maybe for wherever there's a peer-to-peer, same quality of understanding and experience, and you can network between 100 to 150 odd people, is the size that I would really want to. And I think all the three of the check boxes were quite relevant for PGPMAX. And of course, the outcome is much better than what we realized. But these were some of the criteria for us to technically, at least for me, to some of us to choose the program. And of course, apart from the credentials that ISB as a college and a brand get.
Yeah, Bhaskar, in fact, adding on to your points, I've seen that a lot of alums have fastened up their entrepreneur journey while they were doing PGPMAX. So did it do that for you also?
Absolutely. So I think this is one of the transformation which I honestly thought I may take this leap after about 3 to 5 years, after incorporating whatever I learned back into my business, my professional service. However, I think that I was prepared to take a leap immediately after 6 months of my program. And that's where I am today. So I'm sure, I think the value add is much more than what we think. It's not only about only becoming a CEO of professional business, it's also about becoming an entrepreneur. And that's what I say is an extension of CEO that you could really think of from this program.
That's how the program makes everyone very confident and gives that platform that we can actually go ahead and do things.
Absolutely.
Right? Well said. Excellent. In fact, that brings us to the larger questions that makes our participants that they want to take on, right? Let us address the elephant in the room. Like PGPMAX is an expensive program. In fact, it's a significant investment, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time and effort it requires. Right? Given the context, right? What is the opinion on ROI of the program? So Chidambaram, let's start with you. This question. You've been in the top leadership for almost 14 years. So what is the ROI for PGPMAX and why should any senior executive like you consider this program?
Once you climb up this ladder, corporate ladder, with all your core competencies being, value given, and then you rose to that power, that power and that position, then you really required, and you will be suffering from all these things, and then your business will go haywire if you are not equipped with these cross-functional competencies. For example, you need to have a competitive market strategy. How is that your steel, whatever you are producing, who is going to be your buyer once you are going to sell in the market? So big companies like Tata's and Jindal's, they have their own stockyards and things like that. So we need to have our own footprint, and then for that you have to be very, very strategic, and then that is going to be helped out unless you are not backed up by a course like this. See, there is a design framework. Yeah. So for discussing all these things, there is a design framework that has been dealt in each and every class. And once we go through that, so there will be many criteria, so which will be discussed over there. How are these things are going to be, addressed out? So to be easing out all these problems with a very befitting solutions. So that is how I can say whatever at that level, to be a prospering leading leader in the market as well as in the organization, across the organization, and convincing your board of directors, stakeholders, and then your own employees. So it is very much required to have such a tool, I can say. So at the end of the curriculum, so you will be equipped with such a tool. When you consider that return on investment, say I say it is hardly something like it's very well there, and then your very sustenance comes out of it. Then see, I don't think that really return on investment is a thing that anybody should discuss at that helm of affairs to be a prospering leader and holding back such leadership positions.
Yeah, very well said. In fact, I was watching an article today, or a discussion today with the CEO of Tata Play, wherein he said that many of the organizations don't have a clear strategy of who their target customer is, right? They only have a product. They've not thought about this customer, right? Makes sense.
Yes.
Fantastic. Siddharth, so let's take your perspective on this. You've spent 15 years into this online media, sales, advertising, everything, right? And the entire professional journey, all this part, right? So how was the whole new trajectory? How do you define the ROI for the program?
Well, I'll tell you my whole thought process when I thought of doing the course. From a monetary benefit point of view, I think after 12, 15 years of WorkX, I think most of us would be at a position where there would be enough money already there as you were at a top position of any corporate, right? And so from a money perspective, I would say that when I was doing the course, I was of the presumption that, I mean, there wouldn't be any ROI from a money point of view. It's not that I will do the course on year 1 and year 2, the money is going to double, because that was not the intent. That is not the way I wanted to do the course. Education will have its own milestone as you go through the whole course. It will give you ROIs basis every year as you progress while you come out of ISB, while you are at ISB. For me, the ROI, as I said, in the 5 years, every year I have gained something ROI out of the course. Had it not been ISB, probably I would not have got into entrepreneurship. Had it not been ISB, probably I would not have been able to build the company, which today probably employs more than 300 odd people. Had it not been ISB, probably I would not have done 91 trucks and got external money. So for me, the transformation, both in my personality, the way I look at things, the way I talk to people, the way I've set up business has been awesome. And I'm assuming that for the next 5 years as well, my ROI will keep on coming. So that's the way I would suggest that one should look at the course, because as I said, this is not a course for freshers. This is a course for average people working of at least 12 to 15 years, where I would presume that money may not be that motivating a factor. More than, because I think at that level, money will follow. I mean, if you do great work, money by default it just is secondary. So that's the way I looked at it when I did the course. And for me, as I said, for me, every year it has given me something out of it. So I'm still getting my ROIs as I speak to you.
In fact, recently another update for all of you. The minimum experience has been increased to 15 years. Right? So we'll only expect better and better candidates to come into the class. Right? Rightly said.
Yeah, that's right.
That there's always the value that is seen in a very different way, because we are progressing as we do this program. We are investing in ourselves and enhancing our own skills. Right? Very well said. So Bhaskar, you've just graduated last year. So how would you reflect on this entire part of ROI and everything?
So it's a very interesting conversation. I share exact thoughts like how Siddharth does. So it's very difficult to really put it in monetary terms. Very, very difficult. Of course, in the initial years when you prepare for an MBA, that really matters a lot. Right? The easiest thing to calculate the ROI or return on investment is, this is what my current job profile and my income or salary is. I'll spend so much, and this is what I will take away. I think that's not how exactly most of us will be thinking who's taking up this program with about 14, 15 years of experience on the minimum side of it. So the way we look at the program is, what value do we take out of the program? And does it really is life changing? And that's the real ROI. In fact, I'll tell you, one of my very, very senior mentor when I was taking up the program, and he was the one who wrote a recommendation also for me. So we were discussing what would be our ROI. You know, what's the answer? He said, and we are from the same industry, we are from a housing real estate industry. So he said, boss, you should look at ROI as rate of interest. As long as you can afford this education, you are able to pay your EMIs. Please go ahead. Don't think of the other ROI, which is the return on investment, at least in the monetary term. So that's the way to look at it. As long as you can afford, the value add is going to be large more than what you can pay. For me, of course, there were two things which I could really take away as a return on investment for me. Is one of it, of course, the alumni network, the access to the academics, the professors, and the batch which I was a part of. So that's number one. And number two is, I think the real ROI will be created if not only by becoming entrepreneurs, But if I'm really able to build up something on my own, which is, let's say, you can say one of its own kind, a class apart, or something which is really making a difference to people, making a difference to the organization in some or the other way. So that's the real ROI. It's not something which is conceptually how people or leaders talk about, but really if you're able to make a difference in your own life, through creating organizations, really creating a good class of team, really mentoring people, I think that's something is what will shape up for years to come. So if that is a kind of a value that you see from the program, and that is what you seek from the program as well, I think this is meant to be monetary. At least for me, it is very, very difficult to put a number. But very rightly said, well, I'm a mentor, as long as you can afford the EMI, which is the rate of interest, is something which can be your pocket friendly. Go ahead and do the program.
And not just that, right? So you can continuously come back to the professors, you can come back to the alum community
That's right.
discuss,
So
and also the iventures.
that access to academia, professors, the network, the class, I think that's going to be remain forever. That's going to be remain forever.
It's
How
for a
do you
lifetime.
really approach it is something, but I think it's for lifetime. It is for lifetime. It's going to be memorable as well as open for us to come back at any given point of time.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much. A quick comment to the audience now. Please keep sharing your questions in the Q&A box as we progress, and we'll take it up shortly. So moving on, let us talk about the rigor of how you balance your personal life, professional life as you pursue the program, PGPMAX. So Siddharth, let's start with you. You've been in this spree of startups and long hours, full days of commitment, right? So how did you handle those professional commitments, family, and then the academic and the networking rigor of PGPMAX to find a balance?
I think that's the most wonderful part, because I entered education after actually 12 years, 10 to 12 years. And I mean, one thing which ISB really makes you excel in is time management, because and it's a rigorous course. Let me also share it with everybody, and I think all my colleagues would actually vouch for it. It's a rigorous course. You will feel as if you have come back to your early days of college. You will have those late nights where you have to manage your work, you have to manage your assignments. So yeah, I mean, that's the roller coaster ride you would be thrown into. But what it teaches you in 1 year is that you tend to deal with any kind of multitasking. And that's what you tend to kind of, I mean, when you actually start your own work. So for example, for me, when I'm setting up my own firm, there are, I mean, end of the day, there are 1,000 things which you have to manage at one point of a time, right? And that's what this course will teach you. There will be times when you would be away from your family for a week. But then again, you will try to manage it very beautifully. You will learn that art as you start going away at ISB, at the campus, away from the family. That how would you plan your holidays? How would you plan your work? And that's what make you a better manager, actually. We may not realize it when as we were doing the course, but gradually when I look back, I realized that there were so many things I could manage, where even while I was in my hostel room, I was actually making a pitch to a client, and probably I could only do it because I felt that you start using every hour more productivity vis-a-vis I used to do it earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the wonderful thing which you will learn while you do the course.
Great. Bhaskar, so over to you. Group-wide responsibilities, we're talking about large teams, huge infrastructure projects, right? Demand at work, family, friends, and a lot of demands as the program also is very rigorous. So how did you find the balance?
So Sandeep rightly said, I will tell you my thought process. I think it is all about commitment. You have to stay committed. This is not an easy program. This is not a run-of-the-mill program. I think, and that was I have experienced on hand. You have to be committed. When it comes to work and family, I think you don't really need to balance out your time. You need a support from your work setup as well as from your family. That's very, very critical. So for all the people who are listening today, I mean, very genuine. So don't take it as one of the programs where you're just doing it for a degree or you're just trying to just complete the course. I think that's not how it will shape up. First of all, it will need your commitment. That's number one. Number two is it's not about balancing. If you're committed, you will need a year-long support from your family as well as from the work setup, including your teams. So start preparing your work in such a fashion that you are not actually, or I would say the other way around, your teams are not only dependent on you. I think that kind of maturity, that kind of I think profile delegation has to be there. So when I said you cannot be indispensable. That's not how you can operate. If you choose to operate, you will stay wherever you are. The course will really not add a lot of value because we've seen a lot of people who come to this kind of program. They're not able to finish the program in some or the other fashion. They take extensions. They complete in 2 years, 3 years from this, largely because of their work reasons or personal reasons. So unless, of course, in emergency, it is very critical that you seek support. You are quite focused. You are quite committed to the entire program. And that's how I think the learnings will shape up. But one thing is very clear. I think if you're able to sail through this program in a very dedicated fashion for at least a year, I think your transformation, like Siddharth spoke, is going to be very, very different. I think what you will take away is how to balance then you will know how to balance your work, your family, as well as investing in yourself. So very, very critical part is you have to believe that you are investing in yourself and it's not an asset which will give you a return. If you are committed for that long-term investment for your life, I think your family and your work will value after a year. So be prepared and look forward to this program in that fashion. That's my take, Sandeep, on how you should actually balance all three of them.
Thank you. So Chidambaram, let's take your input now. Like you are handling from the organization's point of view to handle the regulatory, the corporate communication, the legal process, program, and then your personal life flying in and out of the program. So how did you manage that?
Yeah. In fact, there was a great help from my board. Both the directors who were very younger to me even. So they helped me out to allow me to focus on my studies well. And then, yes, as rightly said, my co-panelists, Siddharth and then Jain, it's very committed. See, unless you don't sign up for such a Herculean commitment from inner heart, then really one should not, opt for this. The essence of the total ISB PGPMAX program is that managing your time. And time is most precious, and you need to close all your assignments by 2 o'clock in the night. The link will disappear otherwise, things like that. And then you have to not to just submit your assignments just like that. You have to vigorously and rigorously study all the deep fundamentals of business and whatever aspect it might be. So, and then you have to master that, and then you have to answer those questions in a real-time basis, and then you have to come out. So, and then organizing self and organizing with your team, and then that is going to be, another, wonderful and challenging learning. Then that will come across, and then ISB really imbibe these qualities in individuals who are really aspirant and then who are really committed, and then sign up for completing this, and then thereafter, after once all these assignments are over, and then you are coming out with laurels and all, so then you will feel really the enjoyment of it. Then what you have done is going to be there with you throughout your career, and then others even in your organization will try to learn, who are not up to that level of understanding the things, either the point of view of time or value of money, and then those also will try to learn indirectly. See, it's not that I just keep asking them to learn. It's sometimes it's very difficult if you ask them to learn. If they learn from us as considering as a role model is going to be that type of thing will happen with ISB's PGPMAX program. So really, it has been really helpful, and then I see that it's really great.
Nice, very nice. So let me take all of you back to the campus days, right? So at the admissions committee, we put in a lot of effort to ensure that we have a well diverse, balanced, diverse cohort that we put together. So can you share us some experience about your cohort in terms of how diverse it was, and what do you learn from your peers?
So let me take this.
Yes,
So if I look at my batch, we had a lot of guys from finance. I had a lot of CAs in my batch. And as I said, I've been a throughout sales guy before I actually entered ISB Max course. And for me, finance perspective was not that great what it is for me today. So your initial feeler about finance and how big finance is and how do you actually look at finance from a business point of view actually come up when I started talking to my batchmates. Because while you do those finance courses, initially it comes to you like a bouncer. And for me, having my batchmates and helping me to kind of give their guidance in terms of how do I look at things, how do I look at the overall perspective of the business has helped me a lot. And also, I had a lot of third, fourth generation entrepreneurs who used to tell me the practicality of starting a business,
Mhm.
the challenges which anyone, all of us would face as we start our own entrepreneurship journey. And even today, as I said, that if I get stuck somewhere, I know they are just a call away.
Yeah.
So a lot of this initial feelers we will get from batches, your cohort, because all of us come from very different backgrounds. I mean, my batch was 62, and we had people from supply chain, we had CAs, we had finance guys, we had marketing guys, and again entrepreneurs as well. So that's the most important and critical aspect of thing which you would take as you enter and enroll into the course.
Yeah, in fact, it's improving every year. So,
Absolutely.
Chidambaran, your
Yeah.
cohort.
Yeah, my peers, they are very good at finance and marketing, which I was lagging all throughout because I was into manufacturing, and then I started my career with manufacturing as an engineer, and then I built my career for so many levels and so many positions, project managing. Those were the things for my cup of tea. But finance and then marketing, they were seemed to be like very Herculean, and I might not be in a position to handle. So my peers were to be there. They were to make my working very easy while discussions were on and all. So now today I'm able to be reading the balance sheet, profit ratios, things like that very easily, and income statement. All these things, they have become very easy for better, if not they could have been supportive when I was there into assignments and things like that. So that type of calibered competencies, being into your presence as peers is going to be very, very helpful. And that is the one thing ISB always emphasizes while from the entry to while passing through, running through the courses. That this is going to be helpful. Yes, there are at times, there are some assignments which are required to be really, individual based. But otherwise, that also indirectly help us to be working in teams without any, hassles. And it's a very nice working with peers. Ultimately, it turns out to be. So that is how it was very helpful in the campus learning.
Bhaskar, about your peers.
Yeah, so Sandeep, I think peers was a very critical part of our entire program. I think without which the entire joy of the course would have been not have been the way actually I would have thought, and I really appreciate it today. So I would say it was a very valuable sort of association that we had. All of them came from varied experiences, have different very personal stories. I think in our it was very diversified as well. If I have to put a number, I think almost 30% of them were the female candidates were a part of the entire batch. It's quite a decent number to have. So
Nice.
industry varied experiences, cross-functional experience, and not only work. I think what really added a lot of value is, and we were able to grow as a family all together, was the kind of connection we were able to make. And that was only possible because of the like-mindedness kind of an attitude that we all bring. And we never, so I was with least of the experience about 14 years, somebody was with 20 years, 30 years. So very number of experience. But I think the beauty of the entire course was program as a small batch of about 18 odd people is, we were able to respect each and everybody's perspective. And that's where the learning comes from. So you will see academic was one portion of it, but how we all collaborated, came to an outcome through assignments, case studies, and the way we used to run our entire program was is actually where we made a difference. There was never a one answer which could come through, but the how we look at things, how we look at problems, how we look at solutions, how we look at an organization, how we look at people, is where the varied experiences, and actually it shapes up you at a very, very different level, what you enter as in, what you want to learn from the program and what you actually learn. So that that real experience of wisdom, the real life experience of people is something which is very, very valuable to me even after the course. So of course we are still connected. We still reach out to each and everyone for any help. And of course, it's just not about making connections. It's also about making deep connections whenever you need them.
Yeah, having a like-minded professional network. Very well said. No, in fact, Bhaskar, you brought about an important aspect of having female leaders as in the part of your classroom, right? So, anyone if you want to add upon how did this significant barrier that this female leaders have, right? And how did they overcome as a part of your cohort? What kind of profiles were they from? Have you seen people from HR really, HR functions really part of your cohorts?
Yeah, so I mean, if I take this, if you look at my batch, we had a lot of HRs, and we had actually operations head who were females who came while I was doing the course. And as I said, the best part is they are just a call away. So today, for example, when I want to hire for my startup, uh, and when I want to figure out the kind of platforms I need to go to, even if I need to conduct an HR interview, for example, for someone, there are people whom I can reach out to, and it's nice when I see them prospering in their own careers.
Yeah.
Because I've known two of them who have now actually managing a global portfolio of the companies. While they came to ISB, they were managing India as India head of operations HR, but today two of them have now moved globally, right? So yeah, I mean there is a massive learning which keeps coming every year, even while you come out of the course, because and again ISB does a lot of events even once you become an alum. That constant touch will always be there, where you can always go and share your experiences, get help if required from your fellow colleagues and even from your alums, and that's how the whole family helps you to build your own career.
Okay. Bhaskar, you want to join?
So Sandeep, what was my takeaway? Of course, we all have key takeaways in various fields, but my sincere takeaway was because we had at least 30-35% out of 80 odd people as female leaders. And these were all at a very top senior positions. And not only about HR, like Siddharth said, even including in my batch, there were people who were in operations, field operations, into oil and mining, into various banking sectors, consulting sectors, financial sectors. So various sectors, very leadership positions. What was my takeaway? Very seriously, my takeaway was the way they beautifully used to manage work, home, and even classes.
Yeah.
And with a lot of commitment, with having kids at least all, I think, 8 years, 10 years plus, is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
If you genuinely ask me, one of the learnings that come from is not how the course really teaches you on time management. That, of course, builds you on that. But that's the beauty you learn from a female or a woman participation in the. I think we were surprised to see that about 15 to 20 odd ladies in the room, and how beautiful they manage the assignments, the classwork, the home, and of course work. So it speaks a lot about the strength that a female candidate brings into the cohort, and it's not very easy, to be very honest. So sometimes you start appreciating how they do that, and of course, on the software on the lighter side, those connections also get you access to understand what kind of responsibilities the females can actually take up. Sometimes we have a constraint in our mind. We have a stereotype. This is what somebody can do. This is what somebody cannot do. But I think it was really surprising, at least for our cohort, the way that ladies were managing all three of them is something. I think at least I am somebody who looks up to that kind of a cohort and the value that the female candidates or a diversified group, to be honest, brings to the batch.
Well, beauty is that ISB as a community also supports women a lot to help their entire learning experience very, very, very smooth. Right? In fact, Siddharth, you just brought about a point wherein from managing India operations, they went on to the global leadership level, right? And this is generally a perspective which probably many candidates who are probably thinking of going to global schools to do their executive MBA are also thinking, right? because PGPMAX might not have so many international candidates, right? I'm sure your batch will not have 50% of international candidates. I would say mostly building leadership for India and then the world, right? As the vision statement of ISB says, right? So, what do you think the class composition when they came together, right? Did you think about this, right? Okay, probably should have gone to a LBS or NCR, right? I don't know. Your
So,
thoughts.
so let me also share this with everyone that
Global
while
boardroom.
I was
So are we not a global
while I
boardroom?
was yeah, so while I was figuring it out, where should I go? One thing really comes first is if you look at India from an India lens, yes, ISB is a very strong brand. But again, I mean, I think now today with the kind of alums we have, uh, globally also ISB is a very strong brand.
Yeah.
And as I said, that today learning have no boundaries. I mean, if you know your work, if you can do your work properly, there isn't any way that you only be restricted only to India. And that's actually what has been proven by, as I was saying, that for my two of my batchmates, that today they are working. In fact, a lot of my batchmates moved out of India and have taken international assignments. They have gone to Singapore. One has gone to US, and they're doing really well. They're doing really well. And yeah, I mean that's purely because of the kind of setup ISB have, because they have alums meets at Singapore,
Oh,
and I've actually I think because ISB does these global events as well,
yes.
where they reach out to their alums in US, in Canada, in Singapore. And in fact, a lot of my batchmates have attended theirs as well. So networking, I mean, in terms of networking, there is enough which one can get out from ISB.
Great. Chidambaram, any references to that? How our cohorts became a global cohort?
Yeah, there were a couple of Ps. They were, they are very shrewd, and then they have even reached to global positions like in Dell and then so on. So they have been mostly inspirational with regards to their working, say how a problem has to be. And then I was to think even, so I was to get tired because I was to take all reports from my office and then so on. They were to say, no, cheer up, let us go, our assignments are over, then you come. It's such a harmonious way of working. And they are very highly intellectual. Again, they are committed. Again, I mean, as both were telling, both my co-panelists were telling. So they are very committed to their families, and they are most successful at family front and then professional front, and then upgradation of their ISB Ken and so on. Wonderful, highly. So that is how my daughter also keeps saying. So one day I will go to ISB for PGP. I said, yes, you should only explore that, whatever. So I sincerely suggest her. She's very pretty, and then she keeps asking me. So that is how really it's well said. And that should go, that number should go on and on in the years to come. I wish that.
Yeah.
And it is also improving. Yeah,
it's also
that number is also looking up. Yes.
Correct.
Really great.
Correct. Yeah. So, Bhaskar?
Yeah, Sandeep, just one perspective to your question, which I would want to share with even the listeners today. And it's been a very critical question that unlike all global institutes where you attract a lot of international students coming in, and what could be for reason for ISB not to do so. So see, at least for our program, Sandeep, I think because I was one of the aspirants for institutes even beyond ISB initially. But the way the program is structured, so you will see it is more friendly, more tuned or accustomed to people who are working in India. So they may have global positions in future, or they may aspire to go international. But I think you can't expect people from US, people from UK to come because of the time zones and then traveling for about 7-10 days over every month. So I don't know how practical it does really sound, as long as you have access to places, I mean, the campuses or colleges where you're working. So if I would have been in London, of course, I'll first aspire to be in LBS, right? If I'm in US, I aspire to some of the courses like Wharton and other top universities, Ivy League universities for these kind of programs. So I think the fair way to look at it is that this is not a right question, at least for such kind of programs, to for people to think about it. The right way of thinking is that people who are coming with this experience, do they have a global sort of a exposure which
Exposure,
is becoming.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if that is, I think that makes, so I personally had an international exposure, and I was open to even move beyond where I am today. But that was not the objective. So objective was not to get placed into an international sort of a location. But what I would want the listeners or the aspirants for ISB to watch today is to look at the profile of the people, your batchmates and your alumni. Do they have an international global exposure? Can they bring some value on the table in terms of network understanding, how global corporate or countries operate, certain regulations, standards, or the way of professionalism that they bring into the entire setup? So that was my thought. So I'm bringing my
Yeah.
personal perspective because I was one of
No,
the
very fair,
aspirants.
because even in the current cohort, Bhaskar, you would find that there are around 15 or 16 candidates in the class who were working overseas, right? They were not here in India at all, probably, even from US, and that brings me to the next question, wherein people who want to really transition from one sector, let's say from operations to another field, or a couple of you have continued with your respective industries and domains, but have you come across your peers wherein they have made a transition completely into a new industry at all altogether?
I did. I mean, if I talk of my batches, a couple of them actually changed their industry overall. And in fact, one of their core essence was that, and this is during the course, while they were doing the course, and this is obviously towards the end of the course, where they were encouraged by a lot of people who were in that segment, and a lot of advice, a lot of hand holding had happened, even with the seniors, because there were few seniors who were also came from the same industry. So all that guidance do helped these guys to actually shift from their regular industry and move to a very different industry in very different roles. And today when I talk to them, and it's been what? It's been 5 years now, and
Yeah.
they are still there. So, which means that I think they made the right choice, and they have been able to cope up with a complete new industry at that level of experience. Because obviously, when you make a shift after 12, 13 years of work X, it takes time to adjust. And that's where ISB has really helped, because the gestation time comes down. You are able to adapt faster, because there is enough help, there is enough support which you will get from your cohorts, from your allies, will help you to achieve what you want to achieve.
No, not just that. In fact, we have people from these armed forces and all who also come
Yes,
and join, be part of the program, right? So
yes.
it makes the entire transition very
I
smooth.
my batchmate had an army guy who was still in the service while he was doing the
Yeah.
course,
Mhm.
and he came to corporate world after he kind of passed out from the course. So yeah, as you rightly said, that there are people who come from very different backgrounds, and they take the plunge after working for 18, 20 years, and then they make a move. So yeah, that's what I have seen.
Absolutely possible. Yeah. Great. Any such stories in your batch, Chidamran?
Yeah, that's true. My friends one of my peer, who was into other field. Then once he has gone through this. In fact, he was asking us whether to continue this or not because of his hectic, professional demands and challenges.
Yeah.
He was into NHA and all. So then we said that no, you should continue. So he really pursued it. And then thereafter, he has written so many books, and then he has really implemented NHI safety and things like that. I mean, he has transformed himself into a different elevation where he's able to discharge, and then he has become most popular. Even if you get NHA, if you type, then his name also will come. Like he worked with top brass of PMO's office. PMO office and also. So yes, there were a couple of really examples where they have really acquired such qualities of adapting very fast and then moving forward as a leader in their areas. So that was there. Okay, for me, okay, I have remained with the Sribir Group, although I have got a couple of opportunities like Adani and then other steel companies. But I would not prefer, because we started working like together for all these years, and then
Yeah.
moved from scratch to this level of growth. So that my commitment was totally different for the reasons of known and unknown,
Commitment to the organization.
yeah, coming.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I have witnessed such things have happened even with my batchmates.
Yes. Bhaskar?
So Sandeep, in my cohort, very quickly, with a non-typical experience, about 7 people from armed forces, including Navy as well as
Wow.
military.
Ah.
And I think we had 2 doctors as well. So I think it's an interesting question. And so all of them, I think, except 1 or 2, which where I'm not in touch, actually went to a different industry, into a corporate structure or into a business. So one of them actually joined into an IT consulting from having a complete Navy background. One of them actually pursued another course specific to where he wanted to be with ISB as well. So I think he's going to do a PhD as well into one of the subjects. And most of them got placed in NCR and Bangalore. So a very surprising element that all of them, even before retiring, we were doing the course along with the program. And they started working in one of the corporate sectors, including doctors who started their own setup actually, in terms of creating a hospital or a branch of hospitals, chains of hospitals into India. So very interesting. I think very interesting for the non-typical, I would say, business or corporate professionals to really enter very easily after this kind of program. Very easily, I would say. All of them immediately. For me, it's only about a year or so. But all of them got placed or started something on their own. So I think that's the level of confidence, network, and value you're able to create for yourself after this kind of program.
Great. So from the audience, we're having quite a few questions coming in, but I think mostly they are regarding admissions. So I'm just posting in the one-on-one conversation link where you can schedule a conversation with the admissions team and have a word with us. And let me come to the final question, not take larger time, right? So what is each of your advice to the prospective participant who wants to explore PGPMAX, and what do you want them to know? Right? Let us start with Siddharth.
So, one, if you are looking for a place where you can actually enhance your knowledge, because the core aspect of this course is that you have to study. That's the core aspect of this course. And as Bhaskar was rightly said, that this course is demanding. So be ready to get into a very rigorous way of education, because the courses are rigorous, the professors are world class. So that's the first great experience which one will get. And if you are looking for a platform which gives you the wings to kind of get into a space where you can do a lot of things which you always wanted to do, but probably couldn't get the courage or probably didn't get the platform to do it, ISB will give you that push. And it's an ever growing platform. It's not a platform which will give you, as I said, the ROI isn't a 1 year ROI. It's an ROI which you will get every year out of the course. And that's the beauty of the course. So think of it like a 10-year, 12-year dimension, not look at it at a 1 year or 2 year dimension, because that's the way this course has been designed, that it gives you a knowledge base of another 10 years in your career. So that's the way I would advise to all the fellow applicants who want to apply for PGPMAX.
Great. Bhaskar?
Yeah, so to all the listeners and aspirants for ISB PGPMAX, I think we didn't touch upon really one aspect which really brings you closer to, you can say, how international standards are being followed. So I'm assuming, Sandeep, this will still continue. We used to have international immersions, at least 2 international
Yes,
immersions in
2
our
immersions.
course.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was decent enough fairly for about 15 to 20 odd days across best of the institutes globally, of the Ivy League as well as in UK, London. So I will share one thought process, because I was one of the aspirants initially when I joined, that should I look at institute beyond India or ISB? I think my personal experience and suggestion recommendation is that because we did these 2 stints in Wharton, US, and London School of Business, London Business School, in fact, in London. So I think the quality of education that you will see with ISB is, my personal view, of course, is that it is at least at par or even better than what you would really expect these colleges to have been. So it's a very strong view I'm giving it to you, but it's with very limited experience. But these international immersions really bring you closer to give you an exposure of what you really think of how the format works. I think the format is very well placed and suitable to how the Indian culture or a global fusion will really work in terms of setting up your time, day out of your work schedule and the curriculum of the course. So that's a very big value add that you will realize once you come to ISB, that why it's a global institution. how does it really gel between your local as well as global level of academics in terms of professors, in terms of academic research, quality of education, the format of education. That exposure will bring you closer to that fund. And secondly, I think all of us touched upon co-panelists, including Chidambaram as well as Siddharth, is that look a very different ROI from the course. So most of us are into a state of confusion that if I do ISB, will I get this? I don't think there's a specific answer to your problem. If you're looking at it, you should join, but I am sure that your solutions will be far more far-fetched than what you have thought of. So don't look at one problem. The one problem of life or one problem of your business cannot really work out here. Look at a larger canvas, larger perspective. If you're looking at a solution for or a lifelong learning sort of a setup, which gives you a transformation instead of actually creating a problem that you look at, I think this is the place to be. The transformation is very, very dynamic. It's not only about a professional career, whether you will be able to change industry or you will be able to have a cross-functional sort of an exposure. I think it sets you to become a leader and build your own business. So that's how you should look at. That's how you should look at. And that's the kind of commitment, focus, and sincerity you should bring in while doing the course. Generally, if you're not ready for this, take your time, take about a year or two, set things right in your own organization and family, and then come forward. Otherwise, your ROI will be absolutely zero. It's not going to be any return. It's going to be absolutely zero. Either it is leaps and bounds or it is going to be zero. So that's the way my genuine or honest thought process is for aspirants who are looking forward.
In fact, I agree with what you said, Bhaskar, because recently our current dean, Madan Pillutla, is, as you know, he's been a faculty with London Business School for almost 20 years. He's been a visiting faculty here earlier. And recently he was talking to the admissions team, and when he told that the cohort quality of PGPMAX currently, he considers it to be better than London Business School. He himself said that. He said, I've spent a lot of years there and I consider this is better, right? Great. So Chidambaram, your inputs on prospective candidates.
Finally, this is such a very difficult and Herculean course, but which becomes a mandate if somebody wants to explore his career to the excellency, business excellency positions. So number one. Number two, once you go through that, you are into the seamless flow of learning. Those learnings start from fundamentals to the mastering the individual competency areas, like whatever you name it, right across these businesses. So then immersion programs also give a lot of global exposure and global business exposure. Not only that, so many speakers from global front also, they will come and they will join us to share their experiences. They even see us as rarely at par with any other good schools, reputed schools. So that is how. And what finally brings to the table is that if somebody is really taking up, want to take up the challenge of learning and then going through this phase of 1 year, 1.5 years meticulously, then this is the only one place where he has to pursue and imbibe such qualities of learning and then implementation as a leader, and then the urge to put back either to the company, to the society, and to the self is going to happen finally in a wholesome way. So I can say that because education is education, then that is only made possible at ISB. That is my learning and then my experience. I could reach to this level, and then I have done so many things which were seem to be very impossible at a place where I am living over there to run that business. So I could make it everything possible. So that's my outlook.
Great. Excellent. So with that, we draw close to the end of this session, right? To all your panelists, Chidambaram, Siddharth, Bhaskar, thank you so much for your time on a Saturday within your busy schedules, right? And with your families. Thank you for joining us as a panelist. And your insights and experiences will actually help a lot of prospective applicants to evaluate their program better, right? Thank you once again for your time, and have a good day.
Thank you
so much,
Sandeep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye, Siddharth. Bye, Chidambaram. Bye, Sandeep.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.